channel, welcome back to another video. I'm Jessie E. This is Ravenclaw, and you're watching. I have waited so long to finally be able to announce this video. I am so excited that September is just around the corner, and we all know that September is Latinx Heritage Month. I'm very open with y'all about my heritage. Y'all know that I am Afro-Latinx or Chicano. I always have such conflicting feelings about Latinx Heritage Month because every single year that we celebrate Latinx Heritage Month in all of its beauty and glory and history, I'm always really saddened to see that we are forgetting that Afro-Latinx people are part of the Latinx diaspora. And I don't just mean people who are the product of one Black parent and one Latinx parent. I'm talking about all of the natural-born Afro-Latinx citizens that live in places like Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and in my abuela's home country of Mexico. We like to conveniently forget that more than a few Latinx countries have a lot of African ancestry thanks to the slave trade and also to natural immigration. And as a result, a lot of Mexicans and Dominicans and Puerto Ricans are ashamed of their Black ancestry and erase it instead of embracing it. Now, this is largely in part due to the stereotype that Latinos all look one way. When we say the word Latinx, we usually are picturing Sofia Vergara, Jennifer Lopez, Eva Mendes. We have this stereotype both within Latinx circles and outside of Latinx circles that Latino means a medium skin tone, straight hair, and dark eyes, and that is...
No matter what lie you tell yourself, it's just not the case.
Latinx people do not look one way. You can have blue eyes and blonde hair and still be Latinx. You can have dark skin and kinky hair and still count as Latinx if that's your heritage. Mexico has a huge problem with this. In fact, it wasn't until 2015 that Mexico started to recognize on the census Afro-Mexican citizens. Until 2015, Afro-Mexicanos were not included on the census in Mexico, which is absolutely wild, given that we've been in the country for generations. And thanks to the transatlantic slave trade, there are a lot of Latinx citizens, people who have been in these countries for generations, who just naturally have Afro ancestry. Afro-Latinx culture and heritage is a specific, rich, beautiful part of the Latinx diaspora, and I want us to stop running from it. I want us to embrace it and to stop forgetting that we exist. I am so tired of people telling me that I don't look Mexican, that I don't look Latinx, people being absolutely shocked when I start speaking Spanish. And the only way to eradicate these very misguided stereotypes of what ethnic categories look like is to create more awareness and to allow people like me to be visible. I want to be able to partake and celebrate my Latinx heritage without having to go into a lengthy explanation every time I want to do so. And that is how Afro-Latinx-a-thon was created. As September was approaching, I reached out to a bunch of Afro-Latinx booktubers in the community and was just talking with them in the Twitter DMs about like how frustrating it can be that we keep getting erased from our own cultures. And a big part of that is because we have this idea that like Blackness isn't complex and dynamic, and we have very specific stereotypes of what Black means, and we don't allow Black people to be unique and diverse. We love forgetting that not only Blackness, but other races as well are all on a spectrum. And so I'm incredibly proud to announce that myself, Karina from Bookish Babbles, Taylor from Page Screen Taylor, and Capri from Capri's Book Island are all going to be hosting the Afro-Latinx-a-thon in September. Now, we wanted to make this a formal readathon, but we kind of dragged our feet with the prompts, and so instead of a readathon, it's technically going to be a read-along. We will do a readathon probably next year. We decided to pick two very different, awesome books that center either a specific Afro-Latinx voice or come from a country that a lot of Afro-Latinx people exist in. Yes, we are going to be reading two awesome books for September, but do not get intimidated by that. The books are very short. Now is absolutely the time to be thinking and including Afro-Latinx stories in your Latinx Heritage Month TBR. So the first book that we have picked is Dominicana by Angie Cruz, which comes out on September 3rd. This is a story about 15-year-old Ana Cancion who lives in the Dominican Republic, has absolutely no desire to leave her home country, but when she is married off to an older man, he removes her from her homeland and takes her to New York City. So in this book, we have a bunch of different issues. There's a lot of political turmoil during the time period that the book is set within. I think it's set within 1965, and it's supposed to be a really thrilling portrait of immigration and women's issues and culture, and I'm just so excited to read it. Now, the main character isn't necessarily Afro-Latinx, but there are a lot of Afro-Latinx citizens living in the Dominican Republic, and at this point it's very difficult to parse out who is and who isn't thanks to ethnic mixing. And then the second book is one that I'm super excited about, and that is the book 1 in the Shadow Shaper series by Daniel Jose Aldever. So this is like a YA or maybe a new adult urban fantasy about a teen living in Brooklyn. Her name is Sierra. She is Afro-Boricua, and she comes from a long line of shadow shapers. But when her neighborhood begins to experience gentrification, a mysterious being with malintentions begins to appropriate her shadow shaper magic and use it for nefarious purposes. And in the midst of being hunted and persecuted, Sierra must use all of her talents, both her magic and her talent for art, to defend herself and the city that she loves. So there's different ways that you can participate in this readathon. You can pick both of these books. We are going to have like a read-along schedule, and then at the end of each week we're going to have discussion posts. Now, because Dominicana doesn't come out until the 3rd of September, and it might take a few of you a while to get your hands on it, the first week's discussion isn't going to be until the 14th of September, which means that you have 2 weeks to read to page 100 in Dominicana and to page 100 in Shadow Shaper. And then on the 14th, Capri of Capri's Book Island is going to be hosting an Instagram discussion. The following week on the 22nd, Taylor from Page Screen Taylor is going to be hosting an Instagram discussion where we can just catch up on these books and share our thoughts. And then for the last week in September, I will have an Instagram discussion where we can just meet up and talk about our thoughts on these books. And then on September 30th at 7 PM CST, we are going to have a live show talking about our thoughts on both of these books and also answering your questions about what it means to be Afro-Latinx, our experiences, just pretty much anything that you guys want to talk about in the context of the Afro-Latinx-a-thon and these phenomenal books. Now, I'm going to link the channels of all of my wonderful hosts in the description box below, as well as the Readalong Dates. I am literally so excited for the Afro-Latinx Readathon. I absolutely cannot wait. And my big challenge for everybody watching, whether you are Latinx or not, is to really sit and think about these stereotypes that we may be holding for what Latinx looks like. Just remember that we come in all shapes and sizes. We have a rich cultural history, and it's okay for us to not all look one way. And just because we don't all look the same doesn't mean that any of us are any less valid, or that any of us deserve to be excluded or to have less of a claim on our own cultural backgrounds than others. If you want to show me you made it this far in the video, comment with the word diaspora, D-I-A-S-P-O-R-A, because this read-along is all about diasporic inclusion. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love it if you'd become a part of my dapper family. Feel free to hit that notification bell so that you never miss any content from Bow Ties and Books. And if you want some daily content, feel free to follow me on my Instagram because I basically live there. Until next time, stay sharp, and I will see you in my next video.